Today we're making these kinds of glass nails. So the plan is to use upper forms, and now I'll show you how I'm going to handle this. Here's the original state of my nails. There was an extension done on upper forms with just a glittery gel. First, I'll buff them and then I'll use calipers because I need to decide on the length of the nail bed. Just a reminder, I'm working with the Dr. Alex SP1 130 machine and I'm using it to remove the length of my free edge. And this nail, and all the other 5 nails, well, actually 4, yes, I'll have 4 left on this hand. Anyway, I'll use this nail as a base. I won't be extending it, meaning I won't remove it completely and build it up again. I'll use this as the nail bed. But first I'll need to deal with the cuticle. He was in a bad mood that day and there were just some unbelievable adhesions. It's clear what caused them. Someone didn't use oil, cream or take care of things. He just lived with the state of his skin. So basically I got the consequences for that. But it's nothing serious, I just filed the free edge. You noticed, right? I have a really thick tip. That's how it's supposed to be, because now I'm going to work in some kind of inlaid French technique. But for now I'll take some new bits that I'm using, the bud bits. I really like them, they're just so cute. By the way, go ahead and gloat, clap your hands, there will definitely be some overfiling here. Why? Because there's no point in working with bits. And with bits, if you haven't removed the gel yet and it hasn't grown out, because you definitely can't expect the right angle for the bit here. But it's nothing to worry about, no one has ever died from some overfiling. And now on my super thin cuticle I'll do an E-file manicure technique using several bits. I used the bud or cylinder bit, well basically the one with the cuts. And then I still took the sharp yellow bit, because getting into my tight cuticle was almost an impossible mission. But I opened it as best as I could. Of course, you really shouldn't work with your cuticle like this. First of all, it's extremely awkward to do it on yourself. Secondly, with a client, you really need to be careful and of course remove the old coatings completely. For cutting, I will use a ball bit, also with these cuts. This is a very interesting bit for me. I liked it. It works smoothly. The main thing is to set the right number of revolutions. In my case, on the Dr. Alex SP130 machine. It's important to note this will vary on different machines. Here I have it set to only 4,000 revolutions. My skin is thin and delicate and the pocket doesn't open up. Plus, there are a lot of different challenges. So, for this kind of cuticle under these circumstances, 4,000 revolutions. A number 50 ball bit with this kind of cut. By the way, I'll show you this bit up close after I've used it. Then you'll see which part of it actually does the work. Basically, it's the very center. This is what my hardware manicure looks like. Well, I think it's actually not bad at all. Besides, that's not really why we're here today. The plan for today is glass-like transparent nails. I'll use upper forms from Imenka. These are the same forms people complain about, saying they're expensive. There are cheaper options, of course. But there's another thing here. The point is, these upper forms have custom molds. That means the molds are specially designed, drawn, and calibrated, taking into account modern techniques, taking into account all the requests and requirements of professionals and instructors. And with these forms, for example, you absolutely don't need to trim them. They fit perfectly against the cuticle. Also, these forms have a soft part of the plastic in the area where the nail bed is, and the hard part is where the free edge is, and I have to say, this plays a big role. This also plays a big role in manicure, and of course for the base I will use the rubber base from the AM brand. This base lasts perfectly. I'm looking at my nails, which are over 2 weeks old. These are the very ones I'm doing right now. There are some overfiling, but there are absolutely no lifts, and that's really great. The base really holds any coating very well, even on my poor nails. So I've applied the base, and on the sticky layer I'm attaching the flakes. I try on the upper form again. Well, you know, measure twice, cut once. Next I take the gel. I chose a clear one, and it's really runny. This is Quick Gel from AM, also in shade number 1, so basically no shade at all. It's completely transparent. And look at this awesome consistency. Why runny? I'll explain now. I need this gel to spread as much as possible, how should I put it? To flow freely. Because if it were thicker, there would be more bubbles. The thinner the material, the fewer bubbles there are. Well, the magical moment of joining the gel. I cut the video a little where I flash cured it with the lamp, which was extremely inconvenient for me. So I cured it a little and gently pressed it. Well, just by feel, of course. Next we do a magical snap, and we get an almost finished nail. You basically don't have to do anything else. Well, that's what I thought, but actually you will have to do something. First of all, it's not cured yet. I finished curing it, and now I'm pressing it further with needle nose pliers. By the way, the needle nose pliers are also from Imenka. You won't find them on marketplaces, but you can definitely find them on the I'm in Nails website. We ended up with such a beautiful nail. I actually like everything, but of course I'll have to do a few strokes with the file. I'll gently go over the side walls, I'll clean up the parallels a little bit, and of course along the free edge. In this case I'm using a 180 grit file from the brand Nippon Nippers, and while I was filing I actually noticed something. I get a lot of messages about Fort Blanc, that I sold out or got bought, all that stuff, that it doesn't work at all, and things like that. So look, I set up the camera differently and shook dust off the nail file on purpose. You can see the dust floating. It'll linger there for a while, because this is the most harmful and fine dust. And here's an experiment for you. This is how the dust floats. Now I'm turning on the Fort Blanc, and look how the dust rushes toward the extractor. I'll bring it closer now so you can see it clearly. The speed and the amount, even from a long distance. Here you go, slow motion for you. This dust still gets sucked into the extractor, but technicians are persistently afraid of coarse dust, which are easy to clean off the table. Because the purpose of the extractor isn't to give you the cleanest table in the world. The purpose of the extractor is your health and safety. Well, whether you want to or not, you can see this as an ad for Fort Blanc. But still, I think this proves and explains a lot. So, I think this video will answer all your questions. I'm covering the nail with top coat. The top coat I'm using here is the one that must not be named. It's no longer scratch proof. It's not scratch resistant. I used Imenka top coat. It stays shiny and looks great for a long time. But we have the underside. So, I looked at it, turned it around, examined it. And I decided that I also want to cover the underside with top coat. Because it was a bit cloudy, but I knew we wouldn't be applying it with the brush from the bottle. I needed it to be super thin. So I took a gel brush. And now, look, I'm holding the brush up on purpose. And we can see how transparent the tip turned out. Well, of course, perfectionists probably just twitched a little, because I can see a bubble there. But believe me, you can only see it with this kind of close-up shot. But in real life, they looked really, really cool. And, as is tradition for all nail artists, of course, I didn't do my nails in just one day. So on the first day, I removed this one, and I thought, I'll just go live with it for a while. I'll wear it for a bit to see if I want it. But actually, after just a couple of hours, I realized that for my vacation, I really want these transparent nails. I thought, I have to do it. And that's why the next day I came back and started doing all the rest. As you can see, my middle finger is done. Now I'm working on all the other fingers. And here I use different drill bits. But I want to say that it didn't really help me with my sinuses. I'm looking at my sinuses right now. There are still some microcuts in certain areas, but they are still cuts. So don't repeat my mistakes. Don't do a manicure when you have gel on your nails, because even with a super correct application and all that, it still has volume. It just won't let you position the drill as needed. Well, here I'm already doing the cut with the drill. The bit is also quite large in diameter. It's probably a 50, maybe a 40, something like that, but that's not the point. I suggest we enjoy this. Here is my absolutely terrible, unruly cuticle. It's really hard to work with, and honestly, I often feel uncomfortable because of it. That's why I'm using a super low speed. But still, an e-file manicure is possible too. For my left hand though, I usually don't use the e-file. I actually do a classic cut manicure. I really love working with nippers. But for my right hand, I can only do an e-file manicure with my left hand. I just can't get a clean cut otherwise. I'm using bits from KMIZ for my work. It's the same on the first day as on the second, honestly. I'm just trying out different ones, testing all their various shapes. So that later on, I can figure out more or less which set of bits I'll be using on a regular basis. And I can say that for now, of course, I really like these cylinders a lot. Although many people have doubts about whether this type of bit really cools the cuticle. I can't say for sure yet, I'm still observing. This is the cut I got. I think for my tricky cuticle, it's actually pretty okay. Basically, I applied the forms here, got carried away with the process, and I didn't record anything until I finished the rest. I'm just showing you the unfinished pieces. So, I finished filing and now I'm moving on to the coating. Here I chose to use a top coat, the same one as before. But I'm using the brush from the gel again, because I want to keep the shape as it is, so that no gel overflow ruins all the beauty I planned. So, what's the point and elegance of these nails? First of all, I didn't have to start everything from scratch and build up the nail beds. That's really great. But again, there are some pitfalls, like the uncomfortable work with the drill. But I like that these nails, they seem long, but they don't look overly long or flashy. It's just because the tips are elegant and transparent. So personally, I give this manicure a thumbs up. And another plus for me is that the gel used as the base here has both Yuki flakes and some reflective particles. And all of this shines and shimmers so beautifully. I really liked it, of course. But when I was leaving the salon to go home, I noticed that I did my nails to match these scissors. These are my scissors that I ordered. I ordered them on Wildberries a while ago to do unboxings. And then I realized that for some reason I repeated the scissors design. By the way, I really like them. Maybe it was subconscious. That's all from me. Bye bye.